There we go. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's morning is going well for Sunday morning here at 9 o'clock here on the East Coast. Welcome to Brews and Activate. We're going to do a little bit of a weekly live stream here where I'm going to dive in and talk a lot about POTA here. And we're going to talk about Parks on the Air. Whether you're maybe an activator, you're chasing, or you want to just kind of get in the hobby, let's talk about it. Let's get in here and get into the nuts and bolts of Parks on the Air. So again, I'm Eric. If first time checking out the channel, call signs N1JUR. And so, like I said, each week we are gonna talk about the good, the bad, and maybe some downright interesting stories from Parks on the Air. My experiences. Hopefully we'll share a bunch more with you guys. So hopefully, as this kind of gets some traction and it gets into your feeds there and you catch this on instant replay there, or team replay, I should say, maybe you'll join us going in the future. So with that, so may I suggest grab your favorite brew, get comfy on the couch there, and let's dive into today's adventures. So, all right. Well, we got a couple of viewers here, so I'm going to, feel free to say hello in the chat there. Again, I'm Eric. If this is the first time joining the channel, call sign N1JUR. If you're a regular, again, thank you again for hanging out with us. But we're going to talk everything POTA. And so if you're into Parks on the Air and like Parks on the Air and live and breathe Parks on the Air, and you're a lot like myself in that sense, then this is going to be your 90-minute session where, you're going to get bulked up on some really cool stuff. And we are going to get into some really good details about Parks on the Air. So with that, this is obviously the first episode, so we're going to figure things out here. I'm still trying to get used to this whole live stream session here and getting my feet wet. So hopefully you'll bear with me as I start to work on getting my feet underneath me and start getting into learning a lot more about live streaming here. But more so, I'm here for you guys. I really enjoy doing this type of stuff and learning a lot along the way. So hopefully you guys will be able to do the same. And so let me catch up on a few things. So I'm going to talk primarily today, just kind of, give you guys an idea where I came from. How did I get into this whole thing called Parks on the Air, and share a little bit of my journey, because it's definitely an interesting one. I really love Parks on the Air. Anybody who's new to the hobby, been in the hobby for a long time, I will take copious amounts of time to be able to just sit down and explain Parks on the Air, help them through it. And so what better? I obviously, if you've been on my channel, you'll know I do a lot of videos around Parks on the Air reviews about products that you can use when you're out operating in the field. So heck, why not? Let's just get into the details. I think it's very important that as part of the hobby, one way to share that stuff is, in obviously a community. And so one easy way, if you are super interested into moving and conversing with me on this, what I've done is added to our Live Free and Ham Discord a quick channel called N1JUR Brew and Activate. It's our Sunday live stream. So as maybe you might be watching this week to week, and again, we're going to do this week to week. And so I'm looking forward to it. I know I have a butt ton, as they say. It's an official measurement. I can confirm that we will be covering some really good stuff for Parks on the Air, and maybe we'll have a bit more of a discussion. As again, I want to have this real time for you guys. So please come be part of the chat. Say hello in the chat if you're there and watching. As we definitely want to make sure. If you're not having fun, then, I'm just a talking head. So with that, definitely let's recharge here with a cup of coffee. I'm with my official cup of coffee here that my daughter created. It's my Beavis and Butthead inspired Gimme TP for my J-pole. I am a big coffee cup collector here. And my daughter is a great artist, and she totally loves my and gets my ham radio hobby. Hey, Mike, glad to see you there in the chat. Thanks again for joining this morning. So, we're going to just kind of talk a little bit about myself today, sadly. So I'm going to give you a little bit of my story and kind of how I got into it, and maybe that might inspire you if you're looking into Parks on the Air. Or if, maybe, hey, you're a seasoned, activator or maybe a chaser, say hello, let me know, what your story is. And always interested in learning more about how you do the hobby. And we can learn from both each other. So with today, I'm going to kind of, like I said and alluded to, we're going to talk a little bit about my story. So why not? So we'll start there. Give you a little second here. I see a few folks in here. Like I said, Mike, thanks again for joining. So, those that might know my story, if you're a regular on my channel and you've been over to my website, I've got all of my back story about how I got in the hobby, some of my experiences in it, and it's been a great ride. I've been super blessed to have a bunch of great mentors and Elmers in my life who really just, saw that I was super hungry and wanted to learn a lot about radio. And they just kind of gave me as many experiences as I possibly could. And so I was pretty happy. And the only thing kind of really held me back at the time when I was a licensed ham or started to become a licensed ham was primarily the Morse code aspect of it. But you can always head over to my website, check that out and read more about that. But I'm going to kind of pick up my story here a little bit right around COVID. So those that, are COVID hams like myself, I'm a 30-year COVID ham. I have, got my ticket back in 91, I think it was. And, after a long hiatus, when I got back in during COVID, I crammed fast, got my general, and then into my extra because lo and behold, the Morse code requirements and the chains were off. And so I took it whole hog and decided to get into it. Now, kind of funny thing with this is that my story, really kind of starts with a little bit of a wrench in the system. I had purchased a house, but at the time when I purchased the house, I bought into an HOA. And as we all know, HOAs are the devil and basically deserve their own, slow death. But they, obviously restricted and tied my hands from me being able to ever, kind of get into, setting up a, antenna system or, something from my home shack. So you can imagine as a ham, you're like, I'm kind of tied at, being able to actually do this hobby that I love. So it actually worked out really well because right around that time, and that would, give you a little mark in the sand. It was right around May, or maybe early April in 2021 that this thing called YouTube and ham radio kind of, came into my life. And so people were out there professing how cool ham radio was. They were getting into things like, showing 30, 40, 50-minute long form POTA activations. I don't know if you've been in the hobby that long, but you might remember where you'd sit down and watch folks like K-Murder and K9VVR, and they had POTA videos that were, almost 90 minutes long. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is awesome. And I was soaking that stuff up. But it's kind of funny now because if you look back at that, anybody who's doing even a 30-minute long POTA activation, anybody who knows that, people fall off after a while. It's kind of I've been there, done that. So I totally get it. But at the time, it was the latest and greatest thing. And so I just basically ended up excuse me. I ended up, kind of deciding I wanted to get into POTA. And so I'm one of those guys that love to study. And so I like to study folks and study things and activities around that. And so, I was watching everything in their videos. I was watching what radios they were using. I was watching how they were setting up. And so I was just taking mental notes and paper notes and everything in between. And so I was like, okay, we're going to go out and do this. So I've got the blessed life of having an HRO literally right down the street from me. Okay, about maybe 30 minutes, but that's still down the street. So I headed on over there, picked myself up an 891 because at the time that's what, those guys were using. Mike, K-Murder, K9VBR, and any one of those guys were always professing how great the 891 was, and it was the best thing to it. So I grabbed that. I went to a ham fest and picked up a bunch of ham sticks. And so maybe you've, kind of had a similar walk like that. I'm always curious there in the comments, throw in my first, like I said, as a ham sticks were the first things I picked up. I got a tri-mag mount MFJ for the truck. And I got a bunch of ham sticks. I got 10, 20, 15, and I think 40 at the time. And I was so gung-ho to go try it and go do it. And if you've ever been a ham and you've had, your experience with ham sticks, they're a bit of a challenge to get tuned up. Now, you couple that with I don't have an actual SWR meter. I was watching guys, again, like, Mike, who were doing it by ear. And, they were listening for, the noise level on the radio. They crank it up high and then you just listen to see. Try doing that with a ham stick. I think even before I started to really get out and activate, I kind of played in the parking lot in my home. And, it took me a couple of hours, sadly, to get a ham stick tuned just right because, I was a recovering ham or back into the hobby. And, dude, I forgot that, you don't have to have an SWR 1.1 to 1 to be able to operate the radio. I grew up with a lot of hams very early on that would, profess that had to be the way. Because again, equipment, back in the 90s, was still solid state, but it still, could take only a little bit of a beating before you started frying the finals. And I remember people constantly saying, oh, you got to be careful with that. You got to have a really good SWR. So I was always nervous, about making sure I stay close to that. So you can imagine. So, I turned that whole initial kind of test process in my backyard into, we're going to go out and try this. And so that's when, the website first kind of got launched for Parks on the Air. And I went out to a park I've done in several videos a lot. That first park would happen to be Silver Lake. I pulled in the parking lot, popped that, ham stick up, and literally spent the next probably 4 hours activating that park. Now, three of those hours were just spent fighting with that stupid hamstick to try to get on 20. And so, you can guess. I'm really curious, Mike, if you're in the chat there and you're listening, what do you think my first ever activation, how many contacts I made, on voice? Because again, I was only operating voice at the time. I'm curious. Just throw that number there in the chat. I'm sure you're probably going to be very, not super surprised, but, if you're an activator, that folks, your first activation is never the activation that, reaches the pinnacle of ham radio or POTA. Thanks for being gracious there, Mike. Yeah, 10 was not it. I had, and I will be first to admit, it was a tough one. I had a failed activation for my first activation. Silver Lake, I ended up only getting 3 contacts. 3. That's that combination of the ham sticks and the tri-mount and my 891. It was, if I had nobody else around me, I didn't have anybody to encourage me, no club and stuff like that, I would, I probably wouldn't have continued in the hobby, because that is not a good analysis of, cost to the profit ratio, as they say in my world, in running a business here. So, 3 contacts. I learned a lot. And, to be truthfully honest, that was like at the time, right as the solar cycle was starting to come up. We were talking and hearing a lot, or starting to hear a little bit more about solar cycle 25. And I was blown away. I walked away with 3 contacts, but that was back in May. And so me being, as my wife will contest, a stubborn old mule sometimes, I don't like to take no for an answer, or even, silence. So I kind of pressed on, and that took me a little while. But kind of funny story is this: we all know this antenna as kind of a brand, almost a household name. But when it was coming out, I remember very vividly that I spent hours watching and rewatching. KB9VBR had done a video, and I think shortly after that, K-Murder did one too. And again, I'll refer to these guys because they were my, we'll say, YouTube mentors in a way. More so, I was just absorbing a boatload of stuff from them, and everything that they put out on videos, I was just eating up. But they did a review of the Wolfer Recoil Silver Bullet 1000. And at the time, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the antenna that I want. And, I know, Mike, I think you have one yourself. I don't know if you started on that, when you got into the hobby, but that was my first official antenna. I scrapped those ham sticks wicked fast, found another home for them, and did not want to continue to see them in my view. And so, I, excuse me, I bought it hook, line, and sinker. I bought everything possible. The base, the coil, the whip, all of it. Couldn't wait for it to get home. And then I spent probably a good 40 minutes, I think, every day for a good couple of weeks, just learning that antenna, understanding, still trying to tune it by ear. Now, mind you, if you've ever done that, you'll know that is a little bit of a challenge, trying to listen to the static on the radio and adjust the collar from a pretty good distance. I learned very early on that, with antennas, your body can affect, its SWR reading. I don't know how many of you guys have gone through that mess, or, realized that after the fact that every time you got a little closer, a little farther away from the antenna, more than likely you were like, oh my gosh, my body's affecting this. Or me holding onto the antenna is changing the SWR performance. A lot of hams that have started out, and I've watched that. It's been almost comical to watch, because they don't realize that you're coupling yourself to ground. And nobody ever tells you that. It's kind of funny. So, in the hobby, you sort of develop a license to learn, as they say, is the hobby. And so, you really learn a lot. And so, I learned very quickly that with the Wolfer Recoil, and this trying to tune by ear thing wasn't going to hack it. And so guess what I did? Open up the wallet again, and decided that I was going to buy the best SWR meter I could get for what I could afford. And as we all know, once you start into that foray, it never it never satisfies you. So I started with I think the MFJ SWR meter. I can't remember the model at the time. It was a small little mini one. Again, Mike and K Murder, he recommended it sort of, and then future videos he was like, it's not as great. And so I just said, okay, screw it. We're gonna go bite the bullet, and I bought a stick 230, and that was a pretty decent purchase for something so small. But my gosh, that thing is amazing. If you, as a ham, and you're getting into parks on the air and you're trying to build up your kit, that is going to be an expense that you're going to want to consider. Obviously the radio being the biggest one, but more so, dude, let's spend a little money there. It will go a long way in terms of being able to get set up fast and whatnot. And so I love my 230. It helped me get set up very quickly, because my very first park that I was successful in, which happened to be the second park that I ever did, was in a trip for a client. And I very much remember that one too. It's kind of funny how, and maybe Mike, hey, you're in the chat. If you remember your first activation, always curious to hear folks, talk about those activations. And, I've got a channel over on our Live Free and Ham that I left the link in our description. So if you want to come over and, be part of that, love to hear your stories and, how and what your maybe first or second park activation was, and whether or not it was successful, and kind of what you used. Because again, we can learn a lot from each other. And I think, definitely going back and looking at, your POTA activations and looking at that one or two parks that you've activated as your very first parks you submitted logs on, I would say, they were good memories. But Mike says he has the G90 as his first radio. And yeah, I agree. The G90, I think, helped you a lot because it could tune pretty much, a park bench if you hooked it up to it, in just the right way. So definitely a good radio. But excuse me. Overall, I think one of those things that we all have great memories of those types of things. So Bitter Jackal, it's fun to experiment with different stuff, but it can be expensive. I think there are definitely, like we all know, when you buy a great suit, there are certain pieces in that suit you're going to want to buy that are going to be life, basically they're going to hold their life. Or I'll refer to Paul, N1OG, the Grouch. He's getting into a very expensive hobby called parachuting and skydiving, and he's realizing that parachutes are in the $10,000 to $20,000 range, depending on which way you go, and if you buy a couple of them. But they are timeless pieces; they're going to last forever. So a ham radio is no different. And so I agree. Making the final decisions is always helpful, but you've got to if you've got people around you that can help, that you can play with their analyzers, or you can encourage them or go out with them in an activation. You can see what they use. Because I'm sure that they've already gone through the school of hard knocks, trying to get, their kits together to the way they can easily set up an operation. But the G90 is a great radio. It's definitely helped. Hey, Beehive there. Glad you joined. I apologize. I am still trying to work with some of the OBS tools here to get all of the chats out there and the into the live stream there. So sit tight with me, but we're gonna be doing this every week. So if you just joined now, I appreciate you hanging out with us. We are gonna talk everything POTA. So this is a weekly live stream every Sunday morning. I figure some of us are up this early, and we all love our cups of coffee. So hopefully get, that already and come join me every Sunday morning at 9. And if you can't, you can catch us on Team Replay. But we're going to talk everything POTA. I want to talk good stuff, bad stuff, everything in between, because I think, part of obviously being in this hobby is that, we can share our stories, but we can also share the tips and tricks and all that cool stuff. And there's a lot of that stuff out there, especially as I've talked to new hams. I've done, club presentations and Zoom presentations all about POTA. And I always get more and more people, asking questions after. And the one thing I really love the most is that, like, I'll have introduced somebody to, POTA for the first time. And then weeks later, they'll come back to me, that they met or we cross paths. And he's like, dude, I can't tell you how much I'm super blown away by how much fun POTA is. And they are just like, I'm so addicted. And when they say those words, dude, it warms my heart. I get like to a place I'm like, dude, that's, I've done my job. I can move on with life. And so, yeah, good to see you there, Andy. And hey, Shannon, good to see you in there. Yes, you are a loved and official card carrying member there, and appreciate the love there on the short there. Yes, good to see everybody there in the chat. Thanks again, guys. I know it's a little early for some, but it's definitely, we're going to be doing this like weekly. So, hopefully, you guys get on a rhythm there and, come hang out with me more, because you can get lonely at top. So, yeah, we're kind of just, talking a little bit about how my POTA journey started a little bit, and hopefully, maybe you can glean a few tidbits from it. But as I was saying, my second activation kind of, flipped the tables a little bit, as I'll say, because what happened is I bought, an SWR analyzer. I got the Wolf River coil. I had played around with that antenna in the backyard for a little bit, and so I was so gung-ho ready to get out there in the field. And I remember it was one of those days. I had got the antenna set up. I can't tell you, like, at that point, Parks on the Air was so new to a lot of park rangers that I had people staring at me, like looking at me like I'm this weird, strange person out there setting all of these things up in the park, and then my radio making weird noises. I've had park rangers come over and, like, basically, tell me that I need park permits and all of that stuff, and, on and on. But the funny thing with the second activation, that was actually a successful activation for me. It turned out to be one of those that I will never forget. And I learned very early on with the Wolf River coil is that antenna, in any wind above 10 miles an hour, it'll take off. It'll fall over. It'll do whatever. And I remember I was in the middle of the activation, and all of a sudden I think I was answering CQ, and the antenna was to my back, so I didn't really even pay attention. And all of a sudden, all of the audio level, and if anybody who's had a Wolf River coil knows this, or any vertical antenna, that when it falls over, your audio level just goes dead. It drops. It's like the noise floor just falls, basically off. And so I panicked. I was like, what the heck happened? All of a sudden I was talking to people, had no idea, had nothing at this point, and there was no audio. And I didn't even bother to think to look behind me. And I remember the park ranger, because he was in front of me talking at the time, and, he was pretty friendly and didn't really mind what I was doing. He's like, dude, you might want to look at your antenna. It had fallen over. And yeah, at that point, that was the first time I realized that, that Wolf River coil is a big wind sail. I came close to, I think actually, the original whip, anybody who knows the original whip and the Wolf River coil knows that the construction of it wasn't, that great. And so I ended up, I think it ended up ruining one of the elements in that. So again, you know how that goes. You once that breaks, you can't have a broken piece in your antenna system. And so I've sought out to find the next replacement, and lo and behold, that's where the MFJ whips come in, and so forth and so on. So if you've been in POTA, and there are a bunch of folks in the chat that have been saying it's super addicting, super fun, and your POTA kit never really never stops. There's always some maintenance that has to be done to it. There's always something that has to grow from there, or maybe you're looking for a faster way to activate. So all in all, it was my second activation, and I'll have to say that I was totally blown away. I got 19, and that was like that sealed the deal for me. Like, if you've ever recalled, and I'm curious to see what folks pay listen in the chat there, have you ever recalled when you made your first successful activation? What was that like? I mean, it was like almost like winning the lottery, I think, is kind of the best way to say it, even though, if I won the lottery, I'd just buy more, ham radio equipment. But I was totally blown away. And, I was so super excited because if you were very early on in the Parks on the Air program, you knew what was the big thing. You had to submit your logs to the area coordinator. And I can't tell you how much they probably got annoyed with me after a while, because I was constantly sending them the same log saying, hey, did you get this? Did you get this? Because I'm in IT. I know emails sometimes end up in spam. So I was so over impatient because I wanted to see the stats. I wanted to see everything up on, the activations page, and it wasn't showing up fast enough. How many, remember that, whole ordeal that you'd have to sit there and wait and be patient while the area coordinator guys, dealt with their backlog because, at least my area coordinator at the time, he also was a POTA guy. And so he'd go out and do his own, activations, and I can't, he would send an email. He's like, yeah, sorry. I was out activating these past couple of days. I have a backlog of files that I have to upload. I'll get to you. And so I think that's what kind of pushed a lot of folks to a point of, pushing hard for that upload process, which we all now just, it's kind of a thing of the past. It's like now you end up sitting there going, is this load going to take a little longer? Am I going to see it in 30 minutes or am I going to see it in half an hour? When am I going to see my updated stats? We've become so impatient about it, but all good. So sorry about that. Curious, guys, hey, what was your very first antenna? I know Mike said early on that his is a Wolf River Coil and G90. Anybody have any interest, interesting stories about their antennas that they stepped into? Or maybe if you're just joining now, I talked a little about my very first antennas being ham sticks. Curious to see what folks' experience are with ham sticks. We all have a love-hate relationship sometimes with them. I know I got rid of them very fast and passed them on to a new owner. So, it kind of started my journey down to, the path. Or, hey, maybe, your path is a little similar to mine where, you kind of got into, Parks on the Air very early on and realized, you had a couple of your favorite YouTubers that were big Parks on the Air guys or gals. And, I'm curious to, list them in the chat below. I'm curious, who were you guys watching? I mean, obviously I mentioned K-Murder. I mentioned, KB9 VBRs, two of kind of the guys that really started it all for me. But always curious to see who you guys watched and who you latched onto. And Mike, you can't list yourself because I know you do your own Parks on the Air stuff. But, I know you have an affection towards a salty Walt there, but all good there to see. So, yeah, feel free to list it in the chat below. I'm always interested. Just to recap, like I said, this is always a journey. And so, I'm hoping, I don't ramble on too much for you guys, because, I am always a talker. Anytime I get a chance, and especially with Parks on the Air, I will talk anybody's ear off. But if you're always interested, hey, picking up this conversation, like I said, in the chat or in the description below of this live stream, I got the link to our Discord. You can come join, be part of that, and continue this conversation on. And I'll be throwing more there as we kind of go on week to week. Because I don't know about you, but I love Parks on the Air, and I'm going to talk about every aspect of it, good, bad, and ugly. I mean, this is going to kind of be a fun ride with you guys. So, feel free to, if you've got something you want to dive into, and it doesn't matter, the chains are off. I want to talk about everything POTA with the idea that, heck, we can flush things out. And, maybe, in future shows, if there are a few guys, gals, folks that want to come on and talk about a specific area, I'm happy to have you guys on and coordinate that. So sky's the limit, and, always good to see. everybody, in the chat there, and definitely thanks again for, being great supporters of the channel, because, without you guys, like I said, it'd be very lonely. So anyway, all right, well, let's kind of pick things up here. We see just catching up here on the chat a little bit. Yep. Yeah, definitely. A4AT there. Definitely watch as many as you could. Yeah. Watching videos. I have a feeling like it's funny now where you look at the YouTube, content creators that are out there today, and we have a lot of them, a lot of really good ones, a lot of folks that are just getting in the hobby and super passionate about, putting videos out. And I think it's one of those things that, you're going to find a YouTuber that you're just going to latch onto, and they're going to become, the person that you get information from and grow and the like. But, at the same time, some of the very, what we'll call classics. I mean, I'm not in that quite ballpark, but, Mike had mentioned earlier, K-Murder, KBB9VBR, Salty Walt was one that I, watched on and off. Funny thing with Walt is that I loved watching his videos, but I don't live by the coast a lot, so it always didn't get me inspired enough to really get out there and try, tweaking antennas and fooling around with that type of stuff. But I always had him in my role there, and he's always good to watch. His content's always good. So if you're looking for folks like that, Salty Walt's definitely one. Mike, N2MK, he's here in the chat. Mike does some freaking awesome videos, and he creates some really, really good content. And he's into, hot yoga last time I checked. So, if you're into that, head over to his channel, check him out, and watch some of his good videos. He's one of those guys that I inspire to want to get more into VHF and UHF. And actually, I just recently, almost added the shopping cart. Well, I should be adding the shopping cart, but I got a lot more other things I've got to take care of, with more antenna reviews coming up. But I want to get into satellites and get into VHF and UHF more. So Mike's kind of inspired me in that area. So if you're interested in diving into that, he's a great resource for that. And I'm always interested to, Andy, the list is really huge, but I know you're on every list. You're a fixture to every channel out there. We love you. You're a huge supporter. So thank you for being there, and it's always good to see you in the chat. You're like a warm blanket. So I don't know how you're gonna take that, but take it in a good way. Yeah, Mike, I think sats are definitely one of my next steps. I've been watching Digital Rancher. If you're into that type of stuff, or you want to get into that stuff, Digital Rancher, Rob is awesome. He is totally a great resource for that, and always looking to learn more from them. So I've got him on all of my lists, and I have to keep going back to my my playlist there to make sure that I stay lockstep with that, because otherwise. If you're like me, your list gets super long, and then you just throw it away because you never get back to, finally getting it caught up. So all good there. So, all right. Well, I think there's a couple things here in the chat. Let's just kind of go back here that I saw. Let me see here. Shannon posted, 100th activation. Nice job. I wish I could put this stuff up in the, the chat there, Shannon and everybody. I will get that straightened out next week. I'm fighting Social Ninja and OBS. So instead of, breaking everything, I'll make sure I get that fixed for next week so we can put these chats up there live. But yeah, Shannon, wow, that's awesome. Good on the 100th activation. I think I am only 129 more ahead of you. So it sounds like you're way on a roll there. And Bearded Jackal, the Forest Ranger. They were always a challenge. You never knew what you were going to get when they came up. They were always, depending on very helpful or super curious or very by the book, and always had a pamphlet handy to hand you and tell you that next time you come here, you need to have a proper permit to be able to operate. So I was always took a little chuckle of that. So, Let's see here. Going through the chat here. Like I said, hello. All right. Uh, yeah, I am happy to have you catch up with me. I've got several other goals. I am pushing Todd, WNSCJ, host for Live Free and Ham, our podcast that we do weekly. And Todd and I have been doing the rail trail for 3 years now. And we are so freaking close. But as if you're a regular listener to Live Free and Ham, you know Todd is in baseball season right now. So ham radio always takes a back seat. So I can't quite put myself over that, kilo mark yet, because we want to do a live stream on that, and looking forward to doing that. Yeah, always hoping one day that he'll be like, hey, let's go do an activation, because we're literally probably 50 contacts, 60 contacts away from making 1,000. So, fingers crossed that one day will come. Sorry about that. This allergy season still floating around here with me. So yeah, kind of just to wrap up my story a little bit, because we're getting near the top of the hour here, but my story is still going. I really if you're ever been in the parks program at all, and you've been doing a lot of activations, it's freaking addicting. And so if you were like me, I probably drove my wife nuts, because everything from that point on, that second activation was about two things. How can I get better? How can I get faster? What can I do to improve making more contacts? How can I just make my, overall experience more comfortable? Because at the time I was operating off of a, folding chair off the tailgate in my truck. But there were some parks that I remember that I obviously couldn't take my vehicle to, couldn't operate from the parking lot. And so I had to really take it to a new level and really just figure out what the next thing or what knob I had to turn up. So I basically started, and those that may know or have been watching some of my videos, like I said, with my 891, I had a Bio-Enno battery, because at the time that was the only game in town. And so I bought one of those, and then my Woofer recoil, and that was pretty much my bag. And then I think for a while I was running off a tablet or a laptop. And so I tweaked that setup. And so, that's the fun part of the POTA experience. And I think this is kind of one of those things that, that I'm finding more and more. Like growing up, field day used to be the thing. It was the place that you got a chance to set up. You got to do, emergency preparedness and communications. And you set up antennas with the idea that, you took everything that 1 year out of your shack to a field day site to go operate. I think because of POTA, we've all we do that every day. I can't tell you how many times that I'm always thinking okay, in my bag, how can I be ready to, when I decide to go out and do a POTA because the weather's good or the propagation tends to be a little better, that I just want my bag ready, and I can, grab my batteries, I can grab, my laptop, and all that stuff is charged. And all I have to do is just grab a few things, throw it in a bag, throw the bag on my shoulder, grab my antenna bag, and go. And that's always been something that I've been trying to improve upon and get better. I haven't gotten to the level of reducing size and weight, because again, most of, my activations, I'll go out to a place, and the place, that I'll activate, I'll usually park in the parking lot, and I'm walking maybe 20, 40, 60 yards away just to set up, because mostly I'm looking for shade. But yeah, I don't carry a lot of my gear is a lot heavier than it needs to be. Now that I'm a content creator, I carry more gear because I've got cameras and other things. But, from a standpoint of my bags, I try to make sure everything is ready and easy accessible. And one of those things that, really gets me ready to set up. And I can do a setup, and I think it'd be kind of cool, because I know we have these Go Kit challenges and stuff like that. I think it'd be kind of fun to do a Parks on the Air kind of challenge where we do, head to heads of how quickly you can set up a woofer recoil and get it tuned on the 20 meter band, or how quick can you get a wire antenna up in a tree and set up and ready and on the air? Or your full setup from end to end, and kind of award people for, we'll make it like a POTA Olympics, just kind of brainstorming. But if that's something that interests you, let me know. We'll maybe see if we can put that together. It'd be kind of fun to do. I really like to try to see if I can get my setup done in less than 5 to 7 minutes, up and on the air and ready to go. There are days, dude, I love taking my time because I have that opportunity. But if you're like me and, IT professional, I need to be able to get into a location fast, get activated in about 45 minutes or less, and then off and on the road again. So it's fun, but I want to make sure I can get it done and up and ready. So yeah, my Wolf of Recoil is my always go-to. My second, actually now it's sort of stepping in place of my Wolf of Recoil, is my Mad Dog Coil 80. I love that antenna. I'm putting together a little bit of a modified magic carpet option for that. I won't reveal much to that, but hopefully maybe in a future, Brew and Activate episode, we'll dive into that design. I'm trying to make something that's fully complete as a kit. So yeah, we're working on that. So those are things in the works. Maybe I'll put together a live video on that too, or a video reviewing that. So if you're into the magic carpet and you like stuff like that, let me know. And maybe we'll bump that up in the video list there. So yeah, I want to activate quickly, and get on the air, and it's kind of funny because like I've been with a few folks that will go out on activations, and they'll come with me during the weekday, and I'll have to let them know up front that, hey, I am fast and efficient. So if you're going to be kind of watching and absorbing, don't panic is what I end up telling them, because I've done this so much that, it's just a matter of like, I could get it complete, set up and ready to go, and we can be on the air, and get activated, that I don't have to worry too much about location or, finding the right spot, because, you just develop this second nature, second sense. I mean, I don't know if you guys have done it in the chat there, where you go out to a park and you just you can survey the park in a matter of a couple of seconds and see where you need to set up, where the best tree locations are, and what you can do to set up an antenna to get on the air very quickly. And so it's almost kind of like a, superpower. I won't say it is, because that would just, put me in a different genre, but all be said that, maybe you guys are like that, and you've done a lot of these activations, and you just kind of get that second sense where you just where to set up, or maybe you go to a consistent, your favorite park all the time, and you can always find a spot to get in there and set up really quickly. So if you Beehive there, just real quick, sorry, I can't put that up in the chat. My favorite vertical when I first started was the Wolf of Recoil Silver Bullet 1000. I now probably use my Mad Dog 80, which is also another coil vertical, a lot more, and primarily it's because of weight. Those that know the Wolf of Recoil 1000, it's a pretty big antenna. If you match that up against the 80 from Mad Dog, the 80 is a lot slimmer, and a lot more, I think, well constructed in terms of the parts and the layout. And I think the Mad Dog 80 for me has a lot more options than the Wolf of Recoil does, because with the Wolf of Recoil, you have their base, you have their threads, all of the antennas and the whip and whatnot. With my Mad Dog, you get the coil and the collars, and the collars in comparison with the Wolf of Recoil has are night and day. I mean, they're better construction, easier to adjust. They stay locked in the position you want. And the Mad Dog 80 actually has a bypass in it where, if you didn't want to use the base of the coil to tie in your ground radio system, you want to do something separate to the antenna, He has just a simple bypass that you can bypass the coil all together in the configuration. And as Andy says there, yeah, the Mad Dog is a fantastic antenna. I have got and I'll tease you guys, I just got another antenna from Marty over at Mad Dog Coils in Australia. He sent me his so it's called the little dog, the little dog. And then he also sent me something I'm not going to tease here, but I think once I start to play with it, it's going to be a game changer for modifying or tuning your coils. I think it's a pretty cool idea that he's adapted, but you have to stay tuned for the channel because I just got it today in the mail. And actually, let me swing over real quick and grab the little dog. So those that have never seen the Mad Dog coils, this is the little dog here that he just released. And this thing, as you can see, is huge. Like, I mean, here's my hand against it. It is stout, but this is what I love about his antennas. Like, you look at the Wolf River coil and, you can see that it's a little thinner. It's PVC kind of style. I won't say, Mike, well, you'll have to sit back and wait, because the review's coming soon and I'm pretty blown away with it, at least from my initial, look at it. So yeah, it's something's coming soon. So stay tuned to the channel on that one. I'll only tease that, but yeah, these are the collars that I was saying. So if I zoom in here really quickly, you can see that these collars on this thing are way more accurate and they lock in so much easier. And all you do is just basically tighten it down and it's done. And so his feed points for each of the collars are, easy plug-in devices. They're banana clip style kind of plug-ins. But like I was saying, he's got so many bypass options. So like here's one here as the camera tries to stay focused. So there's the bypass here. There's the bypass here at the bottom. And there's another one here. So the sky's the limit in terms of the configuration with this antenna. And it is just... yeah, I love this little thing. I mean, when I got this thing, I was just like, oh man, this is going to definitely replace the Wolf River coil. So yeah, we'll be doing a little bit more reviews on those coming soon. So stay tuned on all of those. But I will not reveal what fun stuff he sent me so far. And then, I've got some really cool new designs from one of my favorite guys, Matt, N3VAN from Reliance Antenna. I love his antennas. Mike, uses them a lot. There are a lot of people out there that use them. So if you're looking into wire antennas, check them out for sure. And you could definitely, I have my coupon code in the description there, so you can save yourself some 10% and free shipping if you want to buy a couple of great antennas from Matt too as well. So awesome, good stuff, and all that's coming soon. But we'll dive in a heck of a lot more because funny story is why probably sometime in January of this year, I forced or asked, the Grouch and a couple other folks to come out with me to do a head-to-head test of the coils, meaning the Res antenna coil, the Mad Dog, and the Wolf River coil. Those three coils stacked up against each other in a head-to-head whisper test, running all at the same time just to see how we would, get in terms of performance. That one kind of failed miserably. I think it was primarily just because it was too early to do. But I'm going to want to do that again. I think probably sometime in September, I'm going to have to go reach out to Res Antenna to see if they'd be willing to resend me their Res 80 again. So we can do that head-to-head test. But that would be, I think, a really cool, it just proves at that moment, which antenna, in the same, environment, everything all being consistent, performs the best. If you're, kind of into one of those things, I want the best antenna. This is the one, I'm going to spend the money on. It would probably show you a really, really good head to head. So I've got to get that going again. But yeah, things like that. That's what I'm looking to talk about here. We can always learn from that. And again, I am not, a true antenna engineer. So, we'll learn as best as we can. And hopefully we'll grow with each other on this because POTA's awesome. I don't know about you, but I could, I could do POTA if that was the only thing in the hobby available to me. Then that's all I do. Oh yes, so yeah, bearded. Yeah, I mentioned the chokes. Yeah, those are phenomenal devices. I don't have one ready, handy, available. Do I? No, I don't. Come on over here, camera. And so one of the things, if you haven't seen that video, I didn't really get a chance to fully test the end to end on that, and I'll definitely, and I promise I'll do a lot more in that area where you can hear the differences via the choke being on, the choke being off, because they cleaned up a lot of RFI and a lot of just interference from vehicles around me. So yeah, I'll definitely try more on that and give you guys those head-to-head comparisons. But those things are great one-to-one chokes, and really, really are well worth having in all your kits. So it's funny because I got that from Matt, and the next day went up and bought 3 more because I just was like, my bag needs it. I have to have it in my beach bag, and it was just a no brainer. They're well worth the investment there if you're looking for that. If you don't have coax that has ferrites on them themselves. So we are nearing the top of the hour here, and like I said at the very beginning, I could probably talk for hours, but I want to obviously give you guys back your Sunday and whatnot. But we're going to be doing this every week. Like I said, my goal is every Sunday morning, grab that cup of coffee, head on over to the live stream here, and we're just going to talk POTA. I've got topics that I've been putting together for a while, list wise. Some of them are going to be really juicy. Some of them are going to be really fun. Some of them might rub you the wrong way, and some of them might open your eyes a little bit. So we're gonna get into that. I think POTA is definitely something, a program that we all can learn from one another. I know that I've gotten a bolt ton of information from people like I mentioned, K Murder, K9 VBR, Mike, all of those guys and gals out there that have been doing POTA, and always interested in seeing people's setups and learning more about that. So with that, guys, I thank you guys for hanging out here in the chat. It's good to see everybody here. I appreciate all the support. It's definitely something new for me. Live streams, I do them with Live Free and Ham. I do them, in that area, and that's a whole different ball of wax. But when you're all alone and you're trying to manage all of those crazies, things in the background while still just trying to keep the ship upright and heading forward. I appreciate you guys as I work through all this stuff, and hopefully we'll all be able to laugh at this in a couple of weeks, as we finally get settled into this stuff. But yeah, like I said, we're going to call this Brew and Activate. Again, it's not the brews for beer. It's the brew as in coffee. And we're just going to, every Sunday morning from, 9 to, 10, 11, just sit here and talk about POTA and everything POTA. And, hopefully we can continue to grow this. And if there's something that you guys want to see or have, me talk about or, dive in a little deeper, you can always head over to our Discord at Live Free and Ham. And the link is in the description, and just go into the chat for N1JR Brew and Activate, and just leave it there and come be part of that community. And as always, thank you everybody for the support. Thank you guys for being subscribers. And if you're, a Patreon member and you're supporting the channel there as well, I appreciate all that. And as always, guys, thanks again for hanging out with me this morning. And with that, we will all catch you guys a little later, and 7-3.